President Mnangagwa today presided over the launch of the National Youth Empowerment Strategy, where he urged youths to uphold the values of Ubuntu and safeguard the country's national identity. The president also signed the Book of Condolences at the Kenyan Embassy in Harare following the passing of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. He described the late politician as a revolutionary who played his part in molding the modern, independent African states. High Court Judge Justice Pisirai Kwenda has found businessmen Mike Chimombe and Moses Mpofu guilty of defrauding the government of $7.7 million in the presidential GOAT pass-on scheme. Highlights from the ruling coming up here on Newsplus. And in sports, the Chevrons broke a 12-year winless run on home soil after beating Afghanistan by an innings and 73 runs on the third day of the one-off test at Harare Sports Club today. Thank you for joining us. We now give you your stories in greater detail. President Emmerson Mnangagwa has urged youths to uphold Ubuntu values and safeguard the country's national identity. Now, he made the remarks while officiating at the launch of the National Youth Empowerment Strategy at the Glamis Arena in Harare today. Our correspondent, Sharon Mjenjima, gives us the details as she attended the launch.
The National Youth Empowerment Strategy blueprint is set to guide programs from 2026 to 2030. Its launch marked the highlight of the two-day National Youth Empowerment Symposium, which began yesterday. Launching the blueprint, President Mnangagwa urged youths to be role models and beacons of hope in their communities. He also called on them to safeguard their Ubuntu Hunu as a core part of national identity.
Strive for excellency. Remain anchored on our founding national values, on our culture, our traditions. Never lose Ubuntu. Always preserve and protect our national identity, our image, and our pride as Zimbabweans.
The National Youth Empowerment Strategy aims to promote policies and programs that empower young people to contribute to Zimbabwe's social, political, and economic development. President Mnangagwa urged the Youth Empowerment Ministry to put the policy into practice. He called on the ministry to prioritize the provision of workspaces for young people as the nation seeks to steer youths from job seeking to job creation.
This includes the capacitation of vocational training institutions to ensure that out-of-school youth benefit from specialized technical skill training opportunities. Additionally, lifelong skills development remains a priority so that the youth are integrated into the formal economy.
The blueprint is built on 5 key pillars, namely economic empowerment, technology and digital transformation, education and skills development, health and well-being, as well as governance. The Zimbabwe Youth Council says it will ensure that young people across the country are aware of the strategy and that its benefits reach them all.
Your Excellency, the Youth Council stands ready to operationalize this strategy through our networks. We will continue to serve as the bridge between the government and young people, ensuring that every program, every resource, and every opportunity truly reaches the youth for whom it is intended.
The National Youth Empowerment Strategy was developed following nationwide consultations supported by the United Nations. UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator for Zimbabwe, Edward Callon, commended the government for prioritizing youth empowerment and creating platforms that allow young people to shape their own future.
On behalf of the United Nations in Zimbabwe, I would like to sincerely congratulate His Excellency President Mnangagwa for his administration's growing commitment to youth empowerment and to tackling issues that disproportionately affect young people, including drug and substance abuse, child marriage, and teenage pregnancy.
Zimbabwe is a nation with a predominantly young demographic, with over half of its citizens under the age of 35. The new strategy is expected to harness this vibrant energy and channel it towards national development and innovation. Shira Mujenjema for ZTN News in Harare.
Now, the National Youth Empowerment Symposium wasn't just an event, it was a moment, a space where young people showed up to remind the nation what happens when creativity meets courage. It was a celebration of the heartbeat of a generation that's rewriting what it means to be young in Zimbabwe.
It wasn't just another day in the capital. This was energy, confidence, and ambition all in one place. A celebration not only of achievement, but of possibility, as young Zimbabweans took center stage at the National Youth Empowerment Symposium. The event drew hundreds of youth, from innovators to dreamers, all united under the theme, Empower the Youth, Secure the Future. And in true youth style, it wasn't all serious talk. Comic Elder, as he is popularly known, had the house in stitches, even earning a laugh from the president himself. Proof that laughter too can be part of national progress.
Right, ndafara pa kumira pamberi pemukuru nhasi. Tandajara vamwe vakuru vatangosangana vachitirovawo vachiita sepa ndazofara. Saka ndiri kukumbira kuti handi president manzwa kuti vari kunondipa chipoka. Vachandipa address chibva panapa zvokuti chikatadza kuya ndichateera.
But the real story was in the faces of the 20 outstanding young people who walked away with recognition for excelling in their fields, from sport and innovation to food and the arts. Among them, songstress Nisha T celebrated for her growing influence in entertainment, a voice of the streets echoing on national platforms. Her rise, a reminder that creativity too is empowerment. In agro-processing, Leslie Marange, the mind behind Glidetime Foods, was honored for turning local produce into a global opportunity. And Gracious Bute, the culinary force behind Pabute Gourmet, showed that innovation can be as simple as reimagining how we tell our food stories.
Food review show. So Pabute Gourmet is a very interesting show, by the way. So you can come forward. A round of applause for her. She's coming up to the stage. If you are on Instagram, look for Pabute Gourmet. You'll see this girl who's in the middle of nowhere and she's cooking pamoto, nemahari and all that stuff. And she's been pushing our national cuisine onto the national stage. Yes, she's a self-trained, award-winning chef and one of Zimbabwe's leading culinary innovators.
From Matebele North, Alan Twalumba stood out for his brick-making innovation that turns coal waste into construction material, an idea born in the community and powered by persistence.
I was being recognized as one of the best youths in manufacturing because we are saying as the youth, let us rebuild Zimbabwe. Brick by brick, we rebuild Zimbabwe.
And in sport, Sable's captain Hilton Modariki, whose discipline and drive have made him a youth favorite, also got some recognition.
To have received this award from His Excellency the President, I think it just shows how much he cares for the youth in this country, supporting us in our journey towards qualifying for the World Cup. Being recognized by him again is a real honor and a privilege.
But beyond the laughter, there was also a message. Youth Minister Tino Machakere called on young people to move from inspiration to action.
To the young people of Zimbabwe, this is our moment. Let us live here not just inspired, but committed. Committed to empowering every young Zimbabwean with their tools, the belief and the opportunity to rise.
Today wasn't all about who got an award. It was about what comes next. They say the future belongs to the youth. But today, something was made quite clear. The future isn't waiting. It's already happening. Reporting for ZTN Prime, I am Faith Nyaure in Harare.
Now, President Mnangagwa has described the late former Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga as a revolutionary who played his part in molding the modern independent African states. The president was speaking earlier today after signing the book of condolences at the Kenyan embassy in Harare. Now, Odinga, who died at the age of 80, served as Kenya's prime minister from 2008 to 2013. Mirirai Singo gives us more.
President Mnangagwa this morning honored the late former Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga and extended his condolences to Kenyan President William Ruto and the people of Kenya by signing the Book of Condolences. Raila Odinga died early last week in India, where he had been receiving treatment for decades. Odinga was at the heart of Kenyan politics and served as Prime Minister from 2008 to 2013. President Mnangagwa today reflected on Odinga's contribution in molding the modern independent African states. He described him as one of the outstanding African nationalists who was recognized in both East and Southern Africa.
Well, he's one of the outstanding African nationalists. We recognize him both in Southern Africa and East Africa. He has played his part in molding the modern independent African states. He was a solid Pan-Africanist. When we grew up, we emulated his vision and his speeches. And we feel that he has done his part in molding modern independent Africa. He was indeed a revolutionary.
President Mnangagwa further lauded Odinga for his significant contribution to Kenya's transformation into a modern democratic state. A fierce nationalist politician, Odinga was largely viewed as one of the architects of Kenya's push for constitutional change. For most of his political life, Odinga was seen as a symbol for political reform, democracy, and an advocate for Pan-Africanism.
I believe that the current leaders of Africa and those who come after us will take cue from the path and foundations built by the founding fathers of the African Union, and he is one of them. And we're all following the steps and vision he created alongside other luminaries like Kaunda, Kenyatta, and so on, Nyerere on the continent. We are just walking in their footsteps.
Odinga's ability to work with political rivals earned him the nickname Agwambo, meaning the mysterious one in Kenya's Luo language. His supporters called him Baba, meaning father in Swahili, another language spoken in Kenya. President Mnangagwa has saluted former Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga for his contribution to modern-day Africa. Raila Odinga's contribution to democracy in Kenya is undeniable, and he has definitely left a lasting legacy. Reporting for ZTN Prime, I am Mirira Nsingo.
Now, earlier in the day, President Mnangagwa met a delegation from Old Mutual who pledged to expand the company's investment portfolio in Zimbabwe with new funding earmarked for renewable energy, for agriculture, for infrastructure and other strategic sectors that support national development. Now, the company's delegation was led by Group Chief Executive Jurie Strydom, who is in Zimbabwe on his first official visit since assuming office in June this year.
I took over as Group Chief Executive of Mutual in June of this year, and so it's a testimony to the importance of Old Mutual Zimbabwe and Zimbabwe to Old Mutual that we arranged this visit, and we were very grateful to have been granted some time by the President, by His Excellency. And so we spoke of encouraging stability in the Zimbabwean economy, as well as Old Mutual's efforts to invest and to play its role in the development of the Zimbabwe economy. So we have invested in renewable energies, a number of renewable energy projects, as well as student accommodation and the hotel sector, so in a number of different sectors.
Old Mutual Zimbabwe Chief Executive Sam Matsekete said the meeting with the President provided an opportunity to reflect on how the company could strengthen collaboration with government and industry. He also added that Old Mutual's investments span several sectors, including agriculture, mining value chains, infrastructure for SMEs, and distribution networks, all of which contribute to economic growth and community development.
Definitely, it was a moment that we cherish, that we had the opportunity to meet His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe, Dr. Edi Mnangagwa. We reflected on areas where we can work together, strengthen the efforts in our investments, as well as where we can collaborate in terms of industry-wide efforts and initiatives, as well as alignment to the National Development Strategy.
Newsplus will be right back with more updates for you.
This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come. Let's go!
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
Vanoda valisizi itai aye. Vari mi vese itai aye. Vanoda go itai aye. Simuza go rako. Kurumiza. Nokona kungoti oyo. Valisizi padamo yo. Manya wana maina na baba. Kurumiza. Mbeu kwa yori kuvalisizi. Airo ene zvivukuto kana tsikitsi kana zvirwere ende inokupa harvest. Apa ndiri kurevesa very honest. Never listen itai aye. Varimi vese itai aye.
Mwaka uno tenga mbeu yako ku Valley Seeds usimudze goho rako. Valley Seeds vauchikive mbeu yechibage yepana nepioneer goros ma-traditional grains nema-vegetable seeds ose anopa goho repamsorosoro. Valley Seeds, where farming meets the farmer.
High Court Judge Justice Pisirai Kwenda has found businessmen Mike Chimombe and Moses Mpofu guilty of defrauding government of $7.7 million in the presidential GOAT pass-on scheme. Now, the two were convicted after a lengthy trial. In delivering his judgment, Justice Kwenda said there was obvious prejudice when the tender was awarded. Justice Kwenda also said other competitors lost in the bidding process and the whole presidential scheme was now a flop. The state also submitted that the two should be charged with money laundering, and Chimombe and Mpofu's defense counsels will now be expected to make mitigation and aggravation submissions on October 31st. Now, guidelines for sentencing will also be made that day.
When the accused persons made the misrepresentations, they knew that Black Duck Livestock Poultry Farming was not registered as a company in terms of the laws of Zimbabwe, and that the tax clearance and the NASA compliance certificates were not authentic, then thus knowing that Black Duck Livestock and Poultry Farming was not eligible to submit a valid bid for the tender to supply to the state 632 and 1 goats under the presidential goats pass-on scheme, which was being administered by the ministry on behalf of the state, and that Black Duck Livestock and Poultry Farming had no capacity to supply the goats. The ministry was deceived into believing that Black Duck Livestock Poultry Farming was a registered company and that the bid submitted by it was valid and that Black Duck Livestock Poultry Farming had the required capacity to supply the goats.
Now, in other news, a delegation from the Tanzania Commission for Universities has toured the Geopomona Waste Management Facility that's in Harare. The team said it was impressed by the project and believes other African countries can learn from Zimbabwe's waste management model. Talent Gore gives us more in the next report.
With a number of African cities still struggling to deal with waste management, Geopomona Waste Management Facility is fast emerging as a model of transformation in the region. The former dam site used to be a problem for surrounding suburbs due to perennial fire outbreaks and caused air pollution, thereby leading to public health issues. The coming in of Geopomona Waste Management has resulted in a significant transformation of the landscape at the dam site, which is in line with government's objective of establishing smart cities across the country. Tanzania Commission for Universities Professor Kihamba, who visited the facility on a familiarization tour, says Joe Pomona offers valuable lessons for Tanzania, especially in turning waste into economic value and creating employment.
Our benchmark visit is really that we appreciated. We hope that this kind of relationship, as we are relatives of Zimbabwe and Tanzania, we will continue, and we will be able also to inform our people. And I think we will make another visit with those people who are involved in waste collection and treatment, to come and learn from our brothers here how waste is managed, how waste is treated, how waste is returned into value.
From a once polluted dump site to a model of sustainable waste management, Pomona is fast becoming a regional benchmark. Pomona Executive Chairman Dr. Dilesh Nguwaya says the company remains committed to transforming Harare's waste management landscape.
The visit from the Tanzanian delegation is to come and appreciate what Pomona is doing. As you are aware that Pomona is leading in terms of waste management. We are the champion in Southern Africa in terms of how we manage our waste properly.
He says waste collection remains an ongoing process, but expressed optimism that service delivery will continue to improve as Pomona deploys more equipment.
In terms of refuse collection compactors, the trucks already arrived in Bela on the 20th of September 2025. They are waiting for just to dock and to be cleared so that they'll come here in Zimbabwe to start the operational. We are ready to start operating with those trucks to make sure that our sunshine seat will be cleaned, people get jobs. It's a matter of creating jobs to the people of Zimbabwe.
Stakeholders describe Pomona as a skills ecosystem and one of the biggest waste management facilities in Southern Africa.
To appreciate the skills ecosystem within this facility, to understand issues of job creation, human capital development, and the various processes that are taking place here. And we believe that this being the first and perhaps largest on the continent is going to set an example of the circular economy, how it's managed and how we can develop our cities and improve the people's livelihood.
From a dump site once known for smoke and pollution to a state-of-the-art waste management hub, Pomona continues to set the pace for cleaner, smarter African cities. Reporting for ZTN Prime, I am Talent Kore in Harare.
Still on our local stories, Local Government and Public Works Minister Daniel Garwe officiated at the graduation of firefighters from 6 rural district councils in Matabeleland North and South during a ceremony in Bulawayo. Now, he said the training conducted by the Bulawayo Fire Brigade strengthens disaster preparedness and local emergency response. Minister Garwe cited recent fire disasters nationwide, reaffirming government's commitment to modernizing fire services, including the procurement of 131 fire tenders from Belarus. He urged councils to implement disaster risk management plans, aligning the initiative with the No Compromise to Service Delivery blueprint.
There is a need to improve on disaster preparedness and response, and enhancing rural district councils' capacity to respond to disasters, and more so, provide essential services. In terms of the first schedule, Section 71 of the Rural District Councils Act, Chapter 29-18, rural local authorities are mandated to provide drainage, sewer provision, effluent and refuse removal and treatment, water provision, fire services, amongst a host of other critical services. Provision of these services is critical in preventing avoidable disasters. In the same tribe, local authorities were directed to develop disaster risk management and climate change adaptation plans. These are for helping them to guide preparedness, mitigation, response, and recovery to disasters at the local authority level.
And in other news, the Agricultural and Rural Development Authority, ADA, and the Grain Millers Association of Zimbabwe have signed a landmark agreement for the production and supply of 200,000 metric tons of non-GMO white maize during the 2025-26 summer cropping season. And under this deal, ADA will cultivate and deliver the maize to GMAZ members between April 2026 and March 2027, and that's at a price of $355 per ton. Deliveries will be made to Harare, to Bulawayo, as well as Mutare. Now, ADA Director of Operations, Shingirai Jena, says the partnership bridges the gap between primary producers and the commercial market and will also boost local production while cutting imports.
The arrangement facilitates local value addition, processing and structured production supply chains for smallholders, smoothing seasonal supply fluctuations and boosting agricultural growth, reducing reliance on inputs whilst elevating domestic. This structure is an innovative financial mechanism that includes blended financing, warehouse receipt systems to promote financial inclusion both for the commercial farmers that we work with and the smallholder farmers.
Now, the Grain Millers Association Vice Chairperson, Chipo Neta, said the collaboration reinforces Zimbabwe's food security and also strengthens local value chains in line with the country's drive towards self-sufficiency.
The partnership between GMAS and ADA marks a decisive step towards strengthening national food security. It underscores our commitment to sourcing high-quality, non-GMO maize locally while supporting Zimbabwe's farmers and industrial value chains. With maize consumption rising faster than regional averages, structured domestic production is now more vital than ever. This agreement builds upon GMAS's ongoing mission to secure Zimbabwe's grain supply chain through local production partnerships. By prioritizing domestic maize procurement, the GMAS-ADA alliance reinforces the country's resilience against import shocks and promotes sustainable agricultural growth.
Moving on, the government has launched the Pfumvudza Intwasa Imports Distribution Program in Murewa District, Mashonaland East Province, marking the beginning of the summer cropping season. And over 40 beneficiaries of the presidential input scheme in Vurume village, whose plots are readily prepared, received the inputs. The farmers hailed the government for its efforts in mitigating climate change and also promoting food security. And in an interview with the farmers, they highlighted that Pfumvudza has improved their yields, and this has seen a number of them selling tons of grain to the Grain Marketing Board.
Pfumvudza yakatinakira. Takangotanga kuita Pfumvudza 2019. Tichiita mauswa tichiisa pauswa tichiona tichikohwa izvo taapadanho repamusoro rekuti taakutokohwa tichiendesa kana 2 tons kuDMB.
Saka tatanga zvepfumvudza kuita zvepfumvudza tichikurudzirwa nemadhumeni. Takatanga tichikohwa zvishoma neshoma, ivhu redu rakanga riri puwa uye riri ivhu ranga riri raiyeredzwa nemvura. But patakadzidziswa zvepfumvudza zvakatanga kutiimprova because takatanga kurima pasmall area.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Professor Obejiri, said that Pfumvudza is climate-smart agriculture and the inputs are set to help vulnerable farmers by promoting food security. Professor Jiri urged the local leaders to promote transparency in their distribution and also ensure that all the registered beneficiaries benefit from the scheme.
Pfumvudza, so beneficiaries in this area will get their bag of fertilizer or 2 bags of fertilizer, 1D, 1 top dressing and a bag of seed. And of course, as we have said, these the beneficiaries will get, eventually will share a bag, so half bag each, 25 kgs for D, 25 kgs for AN, and that is what we are seeing now as farmers prepare for the start of the season. And the inputs under Pfumvudza are distributed to those that have hauled out and prepared their plots, hauled out and put mulch and utilizing the same plots. Of course, we know that the beneficiaries with new plots, but we also want to encourage farmers to have the permanence of these plots as a key strategy to response.
Shortly after the break, we'll give you a story on how Masvingo City has launched Tourism and Culture Festival.
The Republic of Zimbabwe, in partnership with the International Organization for Migration IOM and United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF, is hosting the 8th session of the Migration Dialogue for Southern Africa, MIDSA 2025, from the 24th to the 27th of October 2025 in Victoria Falls. MIDSA 2025 is running under the theme Promoting Regional Integration through Sustaining Safe, Regular and Orderly Migration in the Southern African Region. The dialogue comes at a pivotal moment in history where migration trends, regional integration efforts, climate change impacts and demographic dynamics intersect to shape the future of the region. As the region prepares for the Migration Dialogue for Southern Africa MIDSA 2025 in Zimbabwe, it is crucial to reflect on these evolving dynamics and their implications for migration governance and development. MIDSA 2025 is instrumental in reinforcing a common vision among member states, grounded in solidarity, shared responsibility, and regional integration. MIDSA 2025 is an opportunity for Southern Africa to reaffirm its leadership in migration governance by advancing policies that are climate resilient, youth inclusive, development-oriented, and regionally coherent. MIDSA 2025 is a platform to ensure inclusive and informed participation from all SADC member states in continental and global migration governance frameworks, including those linked to the Global Compact for Migration GCM and Agenda 2063. SADC is committed to ensuring that migration is done in a safe, regular, and orderly manner. There are definitely more gains for the region that can be harnessed from well-managed migration.
Welcome back. You're watching Wednesday's edition of Newsplus. Thank you very much for sticking around. We now take you to Masvingo, where the city of Masvingo has launched the Tourism and Culture Week Festival. This will be a permanent fixture on its annual calendar, and this year's Cultural Week was running under the theme Echoes of the Past, Rhythms of the Present. The festival is set to depict Masvingo's unique blend of culture, of heritage, and also natural beauty, while marketing it as a competitive tourism destination.
This event is a vital opportunity to celebrate our rich heritage and reaffirm our commitment to creating jobs, increasing incomes, and protecting our environment. Together, we strive to uplift our community through culture and tourism for a brighter future. The Culture Week is centered around the theme Echoes of the Past, Rhythms of the Present. This theme reflects our identity as a people and the journey that we must undertake, listening to the lessons etched on stone and sung in our homesteads, while harmonizing new melodies of prosperity, inclusion, and sustainable development.
And now on to our global updates, and we begin in Namibia, where they've confirmed a second case of Mpox. The Minister of Health and Social Service, Dr. Esperance Luvindao, said in Parliament that the second case was officially confirmed on Monday, while the first case was confirmed on 18 October. She said patients are receiving comprehensive treatment at the Swakopmund District Hospital and are in isolation. She also said the first case was linked to cross-border travel within the Southern African Development Community, whereas the second case is not yet linked to any cross-border movement. Namibia's surveillance systems will continue to track individuals showing signs and symptoms that are consistent with Mpox. Now, moving on, voters headed to the Independent Electoral Commission in Abidjan to collect voter cards as Côte d'Ivoire's presidential election nears. More than 8.7 million citizens have registered to vote in the presidential election that is scheduled for October 25.
Je ressens un sentiment de fierté, puisque c'est quelque chose que je n'ai jamais fait. Et j'aimerais aujourd'hui venir prendre ma carte et voter. Donc c'est pour ça que je suis venu chercher ma carte et participer au vote aussi. Ce vote-là, ça rend autonome au fait, autonome vu que Je vais participer aussi au truc de la Côte d'Ivoire.
Now in France, the Louvre Museum in Paris closed to the public after a robbery in which 9 items of great historical value were stolen. This left visitors with pre-booked tickets feeling disappointed and also shocked. Now, at around 9:30 local time on Sunday, a gang of 4 burglars broke into the museum's Apollo Gallery, home to the French crown jewels and other treasures, by smashing the gallery's windows with angle grinders after hoisting themselves up from outside on a cherry picker.
I'm astonished that there was no people who work for the museum in that place. Normally when you get inside, in each room, you have one person watching, but there was nobody this morning.
Now, despite Israel's repeated delays in the reopening of the Rafah crossing, aid organizations are racing against time to prepare and deliver essential supplies to the war-torn Gaza Strip as winter approaches. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs says aid trucks from Egypt are now crossing in southeastern Gaza for Israeli inspection before entering Gaza.
ما بين حبوب، ما بين طبعا حبوب دقيقة، رز، مكرونة، عدس، أي حاجة، كل اللي بيحتاجه المطبخ عموما لغاية اللبس والأكل والشرب.
احنا موجودين في 12 قافلة قبل كده اللي راحوا غزة بصفة السكة لأهلنا في غزة. القوافل دي كلها بتتضمن مواد غذائية، طبعا كميات مهولة، لبن أطفال، بطاطين، مؤن، أغذية، كل ما تتخيلوا. أي حاجة بتطلب مننا السيد الفاضل مستر محمد علين لا يتأخر خالص، بالعكس كل تعليماته ودوا.
Japan's first female Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, has pledged to deepen cooperation with the Global South during one of her first addresses. Sanae Takaichi is the fourth PM in 5 years from Japan's ruling party, the LDP.
まず新内閣が成立するまでに時間を要したことにつきまして、国民の皆様に心よりお詫びを申し上げます。ここからは国家国民のため全力で変化を恐れず果敢に働いてまいります。そのための内閣を本日作り上げました。国家国民のため結果を出していく、強い日本を作るため絶対に諦めない、そう決意をいたしております。
Let's take a look at what's happening in the world of business.
Welcome wherever you are. And Marmoush, room to shoot. He well and truly did. It's an opportunity. What a shot to Sino! Tarkovsky! Scott's got to be careful. Bukayo Saka! But it's Salah, and that one delivers!
Never miss a play, home or away. Stream all Premier League games live on Showmax.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play.
The one story where you can't get out of your head. Wakatarisa munhu so Erika like where you are sitting. Ndozongokona bata face so pasina munhu.
Wakasiya music yako iyo afro chakuti ndo music manje ndiye muZimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so
Shona kana kuti Chindevere kana mumwe mutaure muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe. Ndiwo rupawo rwako. Ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
Rainbow Tourism Group has injected $26 million into capital investment over the past 5 years towards enhancing quality and international appeal across all its properties. Now, the group recently spent $5.2 million on refurbishing the Rainbow Towers and Harare International Conference Center, aimed at elevating Zimbabwe's standing in regional hospitality. Now, as part of the refurbishment exercise, 3 floors were redesigned to create 6 premium suites, while the Harare International Conference Center underwent comprehensive modernization. Rainbow Tourism Group Corporate Affairs and Quality Manager Pride Kumbula spoke about the investment during a media tour earlier today.
We've seen a marked increase in our occupancy levels for this year. Even our guest feedback metrics and KPIs are also showing that our guests are very happy with the investment that was made in the product refurbishment, where our guest satisfaction levels are as high as at times with a 95% score, whereas our benchmark is 85%. So when you look at the fact that the occupancy has gone up and our guest feedback indices have also gone up, that's testament that there's positive impact with regards the investment that was made. And we've also seen an increase in South African businesses using the hotel as well, and generally an increase in terms of international guests that are now using the hotel.
Now, Kavango Resources, the Southern Africa-focused metals exploration and gold production company, has confirmed a viable open-pit gold deposit at its night shift prospect within its Hillside Gold project in Filabusi, Matabeleland South Province. The discovery will give impetus to Zimbabwe's gold production targets set at 40 tons this year and also help drive shipments of the country's single largest export commodity. Underpinned by a preliminary joint ore reserves committee, compliant mineral resource estimation, the discovery has prompted the company to consider an immediate expansion of its planned processing capacity. And in other business news, Stanbic Bank Zimbabwe recently undertook a trade and business exchange mission to China for players in the health sector. This was a move to support the growth and modernization of the industry. Stanbic Bank executives with sector-specific knowledge on trade and health accompanied delegates drawn from Zimbabwe's health sector, including managing directors, chief executives, and senior doctors from private hospitals and healthcare institutions during the week-long mission. The delegation toured Shanghai, Yiwu, Hangzhou, and Tonglu to explore opportunities for collaboration with Chinese partners in medical technology, in equipment sourcing, and hospital infrastructure development, among other ventures. Moving on, environment ministers from the world's leading economies concluded a G20 ministerial meeting in Cape Town, South Africa, striking landmark agreements on air pollution and wildlife tracking. Now, on issues to do with waste management and land degradation, they warned that the continent will continue to face serious environmental challenges without unified global action.
We've seen how global warming has caused unusual heavy rains, flooding, fires, tornadoes, which has caused loss of life.
Do stay with us for some entertainment and sports news still to come.
The Phoenix Podcast has always brought you the best of the best.
I missed on that blessing, but I also regained it in some way.
In seasons 1 and 2, we introduced you to the industry's brightest stars, the ones at the top of their game, the creme de la creme. But season 3 promises to be even more exciting. We're bringing you even more fascinating guests, including the renowned farmer, Patrick Matadi. And to top it all off, our very own host, Ken Sharp, will be stepping out of the interviewer's chair and into the hot seat as he gets interviewed by a surprise guest host.
From the boss, we've been beaten, but we're not beaten yet. We can still rise.
Konapo Konapo, Ipapo Ipapo, by ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be.
The 2025 Fabric Party Convention promises to create memories this year with the different levels of expression, of fashion showcases and performances. They will also hold workshops on creative independence and Fabric Party Vision Labs. All this will be happening at Alliance Francaise from the 24th to the 26th of October. And this is what took place at the last year's Fabric Party. In a major boost for the literary sector, the Zimbabwe International Book Fair is set to return later this month to the Harare Gardens, putting an end to the years of uncertainty. The gathering, renowned for nurturing new writers and publishers, last took place at its traditional venue prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. After being shelved for several years, the ZIBF board will host the event on October 30 and 31, where nearly 50 exhibitors are expected to participate. This year's edition will be held under the theme, Page by Page, the book returns. In other entertainment news, Freeman is throwing his HKD Festival 2nd edition on October 25th at Glamis Arena. It will have loads of guest performances from artists like Feli Nandi, from Delroy Shewe, Killer T, Volts JT, Baba Harare and Godfather Templeman. He and his band have been putting in the work behind the scenes and are all set for the event. He will also be launching his album and aims to make history on this day. Here's a snippet of some of their rehearsals. Ngarava Karen lead Chevrons to first home test win in 12 years. That story and more in sport.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J. All right.
Put your seatbelt on.
Welcome back, gospel music lovers, to another season of My Ultimate Gospel 10. Your ultimate destination for soul-stirring melodies and inspirational stories.
Might prepare me for a good day.
God is faithful because He's holy.
Like, wow, this is beautiful. Each week, they'll be revealing their top 10 gospel songs. Meet Miss Becky K, the dynamic and passionate new presenter for Season 3.
If you are ready, let's get into My Ultimate Gospel 10.
Premiering soon, only on ZTN Prime. Stay tuned and let the music uplift your soul.
Learning has gone up, and away on the ZTN Prime Kids block as we blast off into the world of science, language, mathematics, and many more.
There's a living dinosaur in the woods!
Get the crew together, let's have an after-school homework party.
Your friends would think so too. Definitely. It would be nice if everyone could enjoy them. Aliens.
Unicorns.
I wonder what
the unicorns would wear.
Remember, learning is fun when you're tuned into ZTN Prime.
Boy Robo to the rescue!
The ZTN Prime Kids Vlog. Catch it Monday to Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. on DSTV channel 294. Get the picture?
The Chevrons broke a 12-year winless run on home soil after beating Afghanistan by an innings and 73 runs on the third day of the one-off test at Harare Sports Club today. It took the Chevrons less than 3 hours on the third day to claim their first home test win since 2013, their first innings win since 2001, and their biggest test win. Now, Richard Ngarava was the star with his first 5-wicket haul in tests. Ngarava's 5, Chivanga's pace and Mzarabani's closing spell combined for a rare test win, only their second in 10 test matches this year. Karan's Day 2 performance of 121, which earned him a Player of the Match award, and Sikandaraz's 65 were the other highlights of their comfortable win. Chevron's test captain said the win was a result of improvements the side has been working on.
Guys have taken a lot from their experiences against, England, South Africa, New Zealand, and I think what guys learned, especially from the series against New Zealand, is it was testing conditions. But they've got 5 bowlers that are going to test you all the time, and I think going into this game, I think we felt that you get through that new ball phase, and if you're patient enough, I think the runs do ease up. We felt that with their spin, they weren't as accurate, so it took a little bit of pressure off and it allowed the scoreboard to keep moving. So I think that guys were a lot more composed, guys were a lot more patient. I think that only stems from the experience that you have against better sides. You have to work a lot harder against the better teams, and I thought the application that guys showed in this test, I think, is fruit from the test that we played against the better nations.
We now move on to football, where Dynamo's coach Kelvin Kayindu has admitted that he never expected to one day land at the club after years of serving their biggest rivals, Highlanders, with distinction as a player and coach. Now, the Zambian is now set to meet his beloved Highlanders for the second time in 2 weeks this weekend at Rufaro. We get more in the following report.
Kelvin Kayindu bleeds black and white, and no club has defined his Zimbabwean story more than Highlanders, a team that he represented as a player before returning twice as a head coach. His last stint ended in June this year when the club parted ways with him, citing inconsistent results. And a twist that very few saw coming, Kayindu soon joined their bitter rivals Dynamos, tasked with steering the fading Giants away from the relegation zone. His unbeaten start reached an emotional peak on match day 31 when he returned to Barberfield Stadium to face his former side. The match ended 1-1, but for Kayindu it felt strange being in the opposition dugout at a ground that he once called home.
I never, but I think this is a job. I think you are given an opportunity to work, you go and work. Maybe also the days that I was here, there are a number of Dynamos supporters that had a soft spot for me, and for me it was easy to make a decision, especially with the way that I was told to leave this club. I think it was easy for me to make a decision and go and join Dynamos. Despite breathing new life into Dynamos, Kayindu knows that the job is far from done, with the team locked in a survival fight that is determined to win. This must be a wake-up call for both teams, that for now they are playing to avoid relegation. These are big teams that need to know that there's something that we are not doing right. We still remain unbeaten, and we just hope in the last few games that we remain consistent. This weekend, the story takes another turn as Dynamos meet Highlanders in the Chibuku Super Cup semi-finals. Just a week after their league draw, emotions will run high once more. But for Kayindu, there is no room for sentiment, only business. Big game, I think, coming. Two Giants also probably meeting in the semi-final. It could have been better to see both teams meet in the final, but this is a semi-final. There is no stalemate. There must be a winner at the end of the day. We've been consistent also in the cup games.
Having lived the rivalry from both sides, Kaindu says...
Now we apologize for that glitch there, but a young Warriors coach, Simon Marange, has parted ways with South African national first division side, Uppington City, barely 3 months after joining from Orlando Pirates' reserve side. Marange's decision to leave the club comes at the same time when head coach Abram Mongoya officially resigned with just 6 matches into the 2025-26 championship season. Now, the Juva's departure comes as a surprise, given the club's relatively solid start to the campaign, as the side currently sits 6th on the league table with 10 points, having registered 3 wins, 1 draw and 2 losses. Now that concludes our bulletin this Wednesday evening. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Wadzanai Sansole. Pleasant viewing.
When you're comfy on the go,